Hello, my name is Daniel Yuck. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate your time and support. Within this video, I want to talk about selecting different line weights when it comes to our tattoos. I will be going over as much as I can, so by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding as to why I go about selecting different line weights within my tattoos. Should you have any questions at all throughout this video, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring my bell, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do also have social medias under the same name as my YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, all under Daniel Yuck. I would appreciate the support over there as well. With that being said, let's get right on into this. Much like the world of tattooing, this video is going to be based on my opinions. Keep in mind, we could approach a tattoo using one needle the entire way should we choose to do so. However, I feel everyone's going to be a little bit different. For me personally, I prefer to use multiple line weights throughout my tattoo that make the most sense for each and every design. When I'm creating the actual stencil I like to create within Procreate, I'm thinking about various line weights even at this stage within the tattooing process. So as I'm creating the design, I'm thinking to myself, I think this line would best be suited with a 7-round liner. I think these bolder lines would be done with an 18-round shader, and I think the shading could be done with a 3-round liner. You get the idea. So this is kind of like my logic and thought process when I'm creating the tattoo stencil. Not every single design is going to call for multiple line weights. Some designs will be single needle, some designs will just use one needle size, others will use 2, 3, you kind of get the idea. You're going to notice within this design right here, most of these heavier line weights in the surrounding areas are done with a 7-round liner from Ink Claw. Right now, I'm using an OG Produce standard 3-round liner to apply the hair streaks. So you can see there is a dramatic difference in line weight from the 7-round liner Ink Claw versus the OG Produce 3-round liner. Just within this frame alone, there are multiple line weights. So we have the OG Produce standard 3-round liner, we have the Ink Claw 7-round liner going on, and then down there towards the bottom we have an 18-round shader, and then we also have another line weight that's around 45-round shader of a size. For me personally, the reason why I choose to use multiple needle configurations within certain designs is because certain designs I feel artistically kind of require multiple needle sizes. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable, for example, putting in these hair streaks with the same 7-round liner, as these lines are going to bleed into each other as the ink settles into human skin. Keep in mind, I'm demonstrating right now on fake skin, but that rule of thumb would apply to human skin. The way that I'm approaching it with the multiple needle configurations from a larger outline to a smaller detail needle configuration, I feel kind of naturally flows a lot more smoother than using the same line weight for all of the hair streaks. Now again, this is going to be 110% fully subjective, to each their own. Some artists may not like the multiple configuration approach. Some artists may prefer just to use one needle. I don't really feel like there is a right or a wrong. I feel as long as the final read is technically applied correct and it is what the client asked for, who's to say otherwise? The system that I use when it comes to selecting different line weights is heavily dependent on the design itself and the size of that design. So if it's going to be, let's say, an arm size tattoo, then the line weights that I'm going to pick from the jump are going to vary from a tattoo that I would do, say, on a back, because naturally on a back we're going to be covering more space, so therefore there's room for thicker lines. I do not recommend to ever randomly select line weights for a design. Each and every design, the needles that we pick, the line weights that we are choosing should be selected in direct proportion to the design that's at hand, to the placement and sizing of that design. It's very important to me that the tattoos that I do stand and hold up to the test of time. So if it's a dominantly lined tattoo and lines are going to be close and densely put together, I want to make sure that I'm selecting line weights to compensate for how close they are. So again, going back to, if I was lining this, I would feel with anything larger than a 5-round liner, then over time these small double strands that you see me applying right now are going to become one, which is something that I don't want. I want these stencils' integrity to last true to the integrity as long as it can, if not indefinitely. And a good way to do that is to focus on selecting appropriate line weights. I feel like the process for selecting different line weights is going to become more of a natural process. Maybe at the very beginning, it's going to feel like a tedious, thoughtful process, something that we have to put elaborate thought into. However, over time, it does become something that's like second nature, something that we select naturally. And again, I really do feel that it's best practice to begin using, I guess, our imagination side of artistic abilities and planning out the line weights as we create the stencil. Try to imagine what size line you are going for as you're creating these stencils, so that way when you're actually doing the design, you know what needle you're going to be using for the lines that you drew. Switching over to a different angle, this is a great demonstration as to why I like going about selecting multiple needle configurations when I tattoo. So you can see I'm using the OG Produce standard 3-round liner to implement all of these smaller areas right here. Try to imagine if I were to have done these areas with the existing line weights that you see for the main outline. I don't feel like it'll have the same impact. I don't feel it'll have the same read that it does as we are getting right now. In the world of tattooing, the final outcome is everything. The final outcome is what the client came to us for. Therefore, I feel like it's much more of a better and professional approach to really thoroughly plan out a tattoo all the way down to every single line weight, as opposed to kind of winging it along the way. I do also feel like we would be more confident, have a better experience, and potentially even get better results planning out a tattoo versus just to dive in. You can really see the reason why I chose this specific needle size for this area really shining through right now. So you can see I added a little bit of eyelashes, what looks to be on the right side of this eye, which is an eye that we can't see. However, we can see the little details from the smaller line weight as I implemented those eyelashes. You can see right here on the left eye, I'm implementing that. I'm able to be real precise and real accurate with where I am depositing the pigment, which is another plus. So I'm able to really stay true to that integrity of the eye here. I feel like this snippet that we're watching demonstrates really well the art of selecting multiple needle configurations within our tattoo. Keep in mind, this entire tattoo right here, I did plan out. I do have this entire session right here in a step-by-step follow along, which is available on my Patreon. I will leave a link to my Patreon in the description below, as well as in a pinned comment in the comment section. Another thing that I want to touch base on a bit is needle diameter. Now, right now I'm using an OG Produce standard 3-round liner. However, I can get equivalent results using a 005 5-round liner because the needles are much smaller within a 00 configuration. Same thing applies to bug pin. So if I were to use a bug pin 5-round liner, I'm going to get very similar results to what I am getting now, as the needles in diameter are much smaller than a standard configuration. What that means is, for example, let's say I have a design that has a lot of dense detail and it is a smaller design in size. If I'm going to need to be real precise with where I deposit ink, then I'm going to want to move into these lower diameters and needle sizes, so that way I can be real precise with where I am depositing the ink. There has been instances for me where using even a standard 3-round liner wouldn't be a tight enough needle that I'm needing to fit the design at hand. So there are various instances that can arise that can result in us picking different size configurations or diameters of needles, which is completely fine. I always just go by, again, the size of the design and the details that I'm applying. If it's a smaller design, if this design were any smaller, then I probably would be using a needle size of a 00 or even a bug pin. However, this design right here is about a hand size, so it is a little bit more on the bigger side. So therefore I went with a standard, as the details in this area didn't really need to be covered with anything smaller than a standard 3-round liner. Here's another good example. So in this area right here, I have these lines that are really faint on me, but not only that, I have these lines that also have a lot of details around them. Keeping those variables in consideration, I'm going to stick with the standard 3-round liner, as I do feel it's going to work out well for these specific lines that right here that are in this tighter area. I feel like if I were to use anything above a 3-round liner in this area, then these lines are going to come out a bit more bolder, which could potentially even blur and bleed into the lines off to the sides of them. So you can see by now that I do have these fundamental variables that I am taking into consideration each and every needle that I choose to apply each and every single line along the way. Not only am I focused on applying applying these lines technically correct, I'm also focused on the surrounding area details. I want to make sure that when I'm applying the details in these surrounding areas, that I could apply them in a manner that's not going to interfere with any of the design in the surrounding areas. And this is the exact same approach that I'm using each and every step of the way. Now again, this is going to be 110% subjective, and it's going to be to each their own for every single artist. You may prefer to use a single line weight throughout the entire design, which again is not wrong, as long as I feel the tattoo is technically executed correctly, we're not scarring up or damaging anyone's skin along the way, then again, who's to say otherwise? But in my artistic opinion, there's really nothing like using multiple line weights in the manner that you see me doing here. You can see the main outline is with the 7-round liner, and all of these smaller details are with a 3-round liner, and there is an obvious difference in line weights. For me personally, I love the way that reads. I love to apply this practice within my tattoos. So the overall point of this video is to share with you the positive impact that selecting multiple line weights within our tattoos can have. Should you have any questions, I encourage you to drop a comment down below. I will do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and ring my bell, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. I do also have social medias under the same name as my YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, all under Daniel Yuck. I would appreciate the support over there as well. With that being said, I thank you for your time and I appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day.